Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the show where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the movies that we love, hate, or that are simply worth talking about. All stories have something to share, and we love analyzing what they capture. Welcome to the Chatter After. This is also a collaboration with Superman on Film. Mario, talk to your people for us, right quick.
Hey, yes, welcome to the Chatter After Meet Superman on Film Dawn of Justice. No, yes, very excited.
Why did you say that name?
I'm very excited to keep the summer of Superman rolling along, and the fact that now, last time I was on this very show, we were all just glazing in preview excitement about James Gunn's Superman, and now we've all seen it, and none of us have really had a conversation about how we felt about it. So we're going to find out each other's real time reactions in real time. I'm very excited.
Very
It's
excited.
so exciting. Obviously, I'm Mike, the novice cinephile. Brandon, my co-host of the Chatter After. Welcome back. How you been, buddy?
I'm good. I'm very excited for this film, for what it has ignited in the world and in my heart. I didn't really like it that much. I mean, it was okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I want the cup. I didn't know crypto was on there. Man, I should have got the cup. I'll get it
I think
on
it's like a
viewing number
mystery
3.
thing because they had it's
Hey!
like crypto Superman and then like
It was the
Superman
emblem,
logo keychain.
golden
Yeah.
emblem. Yeah.
That's Jimmy Olsen's number one hater, if you didn't know. Cliff, what's up, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm enjoying being a punk rocker, enjoying being a crab joy at the moment.
Hey.
Life is exciting right now.
It's very exciting. It's crazy because, like Mario was saying a couple weeks ago, we spent like an hour and a half just like hyping up our excitement for this movie, and it's hard to live up to that level of expectation and excitement. And right before we
Oh,
hit the
yeah.
button, Brandon was over here talking about like, oh, 15 years ago, Superman Returns happened, and we were this excited. It's like, oh gosh, a lot has happened since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did this live up to the expectations? I'm going to start with you, Mario.
So honestly, see, so I've seen it twice, okay? And the second time I actually liked it much more because my expectations hindered the first time a little bit. I went into this kind of just a little too gassed, a little too like I was expecting something that I didn't exactly get. And as much as I enjoyed it, I did feel a little on the underwhelmed side, if I'm being 100% honest. Like for me, it was a 7 out of 10. To me, it was good, but not great. And I wanted greatness, fellas. And the main thing for me, I don't know if we're going right into all of our impressions, but the bullet point version of what happened to me was that I'm really big on the quieter character emotional beats of a Superman story. And this movie, there's very few of those. There's like 3 key points, and they happen to be my favorite points in the movie. But a lot of it is very go, go, go. We hit the ground running and we're off to the races. And I found myself sort of yearning for things to slow down a little bit. It was one of those rare movies that I was like, I wish this was actually longer. I wish this was like 20 minutes longer just to kind of let things simmer and marinate and build a little more so that when certain emotional peaks happen, it could really fully land for me. Because it felt a little bit like, whoa, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're here, we're there. And the tone is very light and bouncy and we're going full steam ahead. So my first viewing, I walked out a little bit like, okay, I enjoyed the hell out of it, but I don't know if I'm in love with this movie. And I kind of had to wrestle with that for a few days. And then I saw it again, this time kind of knowing the rhythm of the thing. And this time it was an 8.5 out of 10, where it's like, okay, this is very good. This actually is pretty great. It's not excellent. It's not an all-time classic. To me, the Christopher Reeve original 1978 film is still the best Superman movie. But this now is comfortably right there behind it in my rankings. So there was my long-winded response to your question.
No, I mean, but that's kind of the same thing that I experienced too, seeing it that Tuesday. Like
Yeah.
and you were just like engulfed in the chaos of this movie.
Yeah.
and it's a lot to take in. And I think if this movie came in at like 2 hours 20 minutes, that might be the sweet spot, and that
Yeah.
might have gotten it to that 10 out of 10 level. But rewatching it a second time on Saturday, you can meet the movie where it is. You're not taken aback by the wall of text of 3 centuries ago this happened. And you're like, oh wait, what am I getting into?
Yeah.
You can understand what's happening, and I think for me as well, it kind of elevated it a little bit the second time. Cliff, I know you saw it in New York City.
Yeah, I saw it on a 72-foot screen, full
Ooh.
IMAX. Center seat, like I
Ooh.
got very lucky when those tickets dropped. So yeah, it's that experience, man. I had chills from start to finish, mainly because there was just the sound quality of this movie really, really like put me in the mindset of like it's happening. I'm here, you know. But yeah, quick thoughts. Good time. I like every time I think about this movie, I'm smiling, even with the things I don't like about the film. I'm just like, I got Clark Kent. I got a comic book movie. I got an issue of a comic book for 2 hours. You know, I've gotten characters that like I've seen Metamorpho, which we'll get into those specifics. But I'm just like Metamorpho's in a movie, you know. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I truly had a good time. I love this characterization of Clark Kent. Some other characters I feel like could have been given more time and whatnot, but overall, solid. I appreciate that this Superman is kind of our age. You know, he debuted at 27, so now 3 years later he's 30, which means he grew up with like Incubus and and Nelly. I think that's what they said, right? It was like 3 centuries and then
Listen, man, this
Halloween
man
and
grew up
whatnot.
watching the Rugrats on Nickelodeon like the rest of us, and that is hilarious.
Exactly. He saw the live action Scooby Doo's. He is a Matthew Lillard fan, people. You know, this is our Superman. But yeah, I enjoy the movie. Some minor gripes, but we'll get into those later. But overall, I'm giddy. I'm excited for the future of DC.
Nice.
Like, oh my goodness, this is the first time I feel like any and all DC characters could pop up in this world.
Yeah.
You know, I could see Superman going up against Orion. I could see him having interactions with, Zatanna, whoever they can think of. You know, Black Cat from the Justice Society. You know, Wink, like whoever. Let's make it happen. I'm on this train fully.
Yeah.
Mr. Brandon Alvarado, what's up, man?
I got 2 words. This film is just right.
Mm.
That's
And
5 words, by the way, for the people counting at home.
This film is just right. He was focusing on the just right part, Mike.
I was creating an emphasis, you know. But yeah, so I have never seen a character that has so much cinematic baggage be able to be brought to life in such a refreshing way that it's taking the world by storm. Because if we can talk about a character that's had so much baggage in me, like everybody has their own idea of who Superman is, who Superman's supposed to be, and what Superman has been in the silver screen for the last 30 years, right? Everybody has an idea. And the fact that James Gunn's movie was able to set the character apart, where from now on, this is Superman. And the fact that everybody is celebrating not just with their money, but with their reviews, with the excitement, and the fact that I there were so many moments in this film where I just smiled and I cried because I was so happy, and so many moments that I got up on my seat and just was just ecstatic that I was amazed of what I was seeing in the screen. Um, this movie was just right because not only did it have to be distinctively different from everything that came before it, it also sets a precedent for what to expect in this world. And I love how lived in it is. I love that even though one can call the construct of the cinematography world building, this film really didn't waste any much time world building because we've all been in this world before. We finally just seen the world alive, and it really concentrated on an particular problem that Superman had to solve within himself and with the world. You know what I mean? It was just your quintessential Superman story and movie, and I'm glad that not only I enjoyed it, but apparently everybody else is, because to get an A minus cinema score in this day and age is amazing. And the other two words that describe this movie is bought the steelbook. I already bought the steel. I'm ready to see this movie again. Like I have to find a way to probably convince my girlfriend to go again. But she also enjoyed it as well. Maybe she enjoyed David Cornstalk a bit too much, but
He is.
she can go
rather
for
human.
David. Yeah, she can go for David. I can go for Clark. It's one of those things. But yeah, like this movie was just right. It did everything it needed to do for the character. It did everything it needed to do for the universe that this character belongs to, and it did everything that it needed to do for the future of the franchise as a whole, not just for the character, but for every character that lives in this world. Because, like we mentioned before, we talked about this in the last episode. Like, this film is either gonna get us very excited for everything that's coming, or is really gonna temper us down for everything that's been announced. And all I can think about is what's next. And I'm excited that it started with Superman.
As it should. It should start with Superman, and I'm
Yeah.
glad we're able to build that foundation. Thank you guys for giving your general thoughts, because 12 minutes into the show, you haven't spoiled a single thing in this movie. So that means I get to remind the
That
audience.
means it was a super start. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if
He's
you're watching and you haven't seen Superman 2025, why are you here? Go to your theater, go watch the movie, come back. Spoiler territory from this point forward. I want to address some of the comments here in the chat. Jeff is saying, saw Superman for the second time today in IMAX, loved it even more. Do you find the first time seeing a highly anticipated movie, you're kind of overthinking it? 2nd time was much better. Yeah, we kind of touched on that, Mario and I. That level of expectation, I feel like it kind of hurts it a little bit, because you're just trying to absorb everything. Second time, you're just able to go with the flow.
Yeah, for sure, Jeff. For sure.
Hunter here is asking Mario, how much do you think this movie's going to make?
Now, you see, I'm not exactly like what I would consider some kind of box office expert or nothing, but I'll chime in on sort of what I think it needs to make to be considered a success, because there have been all kinds of purported numbers on the budget. At some point, there's a document that says the budget was $370 million. And like a bunch of nerds ran with that online, and James Gunn had to put the kibosh on that. And then somebody said 250, then it said 225. Now they're saying 200 even. And then there was even this interesting figure where, according to the studio, their marketing budget was only $100 million, which is actually not that bad, all things considered. And I feel like what we're looking at here is some sort of sweet spot between 500 million and 700 million. They will have made their money back. And then anything past that, now we're getting into the you're on a gravy train with biscuit wheels. And I have a feeling that this movie is going to make somewhere between, like, I want to say 750 to 800-ish. I think it's going to fall into that range. I would have loved to have seen an opening weekend that just blew all their projections away, because then I'd be here talking about we're going to hit that billion. But unfortunately, with Fantastic Four coming out in 2 weeks, the summer, this summer blockbuster season is rather loaded, and I don't think it's going to be able to leg out that bill that a lot of us were hoping. But what's interesting is the word of mouth is very strong right now. The cinema score is high. It's got an A minus, and also Post Track, which also does in-person polling and asks, how likely are you to recommend this to someone else? It also got a very high rating there. It seems like a lot of people, like everyone who did come out this weekend, is convinced that they have to tell people, you got to go check this out. you know. And overall, it's the first Superman movie in 20 years that actually has positive reviews. It's currently at like 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like a 93 or 94% audience approval rating. So I feel like it's got everything sort of in place right now to have some decent legs. And even Deadline was projecting that for weekend number 2, it's only looking at a rather mild drop off of 50% at a time where a lot of these big movies tend to be very front loaded. And weekend 2, it drops like 60%, 65%. This is only going to drop 50. So I think it's going to do well. I don't think we're going to hit that bill, and I think we're going to be happy somewhere between 750 and 800 million bucks. That's my thing about the box office.
Yeah. Jurassic, for comparison, Jurassic World Rebirth in its second weekend had a 73% drop.
Exactly.
So if Superman can be at that 50%, they're doing good. That means you're getting repeat viewings and the word of mouth is spreading. So that's great. We can finally talk spoilers. I want to talk about what works world building wise, character wise. Cliff, I'm going to you first.
What works character wise and world building wise? I think a number of things. I think specifically introducing that metas already exist in this world before Superman even debuted. You know, it set the groundwork for the strongest metahuman to now exist. The strongest metahuman who also feels a lot of pain, like, which we'll get into later. But yeah, I think that's probably the smartest bit. Because I remember sitting there and just seeing the opening text, them explaining, what was it, like 3 millennia ago, whatever it was, 3 centuries ago, metas were introduced, blah blah blah, and then this like set of 3 going on. I really like that. But yeah, I think that's the strongest aspect. And then also just forcing Superman to exist in a world where he has to interact with other metahumans, specifically, like his everyday occurrences, like, oh, here's a Green Lantern, here's this metahuman popped up to help me. It just feels like we're skipping all the mumbo jumbo of world building, and slowly introducing new pieces and new characters here and there, and they're just tossing us into the fray. It's it. I would say arguably it feels like what the second Suicide Squad feels like, even though we got a first movie, but I feel like that second Suicide Squad movie was like, this team, here we are, here's 20 characters, boom, here's Starro, I'm just gonna give it to you, and it works. It doesn't treat the audience like we have to reinvent the wheel every time we introduce a new superhero or a new iteration of the character. I'd say.
Yeah, that's fair. Brandon, I saw you were nodding your head at everything Cliff was laying down, so I assume you agree. What's your take? You muted?
Oh,
you muted? Oh,
I do agree with everything you were saying, and I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me to the existence of metahumans in this world as of right now is that, and I don't. This might sound like a crazy take, but in an age where we've been exposed to comic book movies for the last 25 years, this Superman movie. It is the most unapologetic comic book film I have ever seen in my life. It does not hide the fact that it's a comic book film. It does not hide the fact that this weird, fantastical world is what it is. It doesn't hide the fact that there's other heroes. It doesn't hide the fact that there's history. It doesn't hide the fact. It doesn't have to make a big deal that someone else shows up. Like, cameos don't matter. Like, even at the end where you see Kara, it's awesome because it's just part. It's not just like an extra little, hey, she's here. No, we know that Krypto doesn't belong to him. We know that these things have been part of the conversation throughout the film, and I love how unapologetic it is, and that goes back to the whole metahuman thing. Like, hey, this world is a fantastical world where everybody is aware that fantastical things happen every day. We were talking about it on the phone the other day, Mike, when the newscaster is talking about the kaiju was spotted at Jitters this morning, and it's like Jitters is known throughout media nowadays because it was a big set piece in the Flash show. Because it's the Starbucks of the DC universe. You know what I mean? So it's like I love how unapologetic it is, and I love how the fact that the idea that these beings exist is great, and I love how this literally were like you can tell that James Gunn wears his nerd heart on his shoulders. So and I expect that to be this way in every other project that we are to see at the DC studios. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
It's interesting because you said something there about this just being unapologetically a comic book movie, and it's no greater shown, right? As soon as the movie starts, Superman crashes. You're just thrown in the middle of an issue. It's like you're just picking up a comic book off the rack, and it's like, here's the
Yep.
latest adventure of
Yep.
Superman. And he doesn't feel the need to explain the Justice Gang. It's like, hey, these are characters that exist. Superman knows them. That's all you need to know. They're of the cloth, as Guy Gardner would say. That's their relationship.
You got the
And
mural of the JSA in the Hall of Justice. Like, we don't have to tease, oh, hey, we're going to have a table. No, it's the freaking Hall of Justice. It says it in the front of the freaking building.
Yeah. He just embraced it, and I appreciate that. But I want your thoughts on this one, Mario.
Yeah, I mean, kind of in line with what everyone's saying. Like, I just love how it's all just sort of off the cuff and casually there. He doesn't even draw a lot of attention to like, look at this neat stuff I'm setting up for later. No, here's Guy Gardner sitting in the middle of a diner eating Fruity Pebbles with a glass of milk. You know, here's all these things that are just, this is just the world we live in. You know, this is just how it is. And the people of Metropolis are so sort of used to this stuff that they're not running away screaming from the kaiju. A bunch of them are taking pictures on their phone. Like, we're in this heightened reality that just kind of like, it really hits the point home to the audience that like this is a living, breathing, fantastical comic book world. And, you know, so clearly you're gonna see stories that are in this heightened reality. And just get used to it. You know, it's just it handles it so sort of just straight to the point, off the cuff. This is how it be, and I love that. So in terms of its world building, I love how just sort of like nonchalant it is about it. Like, yeah, this is what's up, you know. And just in terms of like the overall, just like the tone of everything too, like it just nails it. Like, to me, like, it wasn't too funny, goofy, crazy like James Gunn could go in. You know, it had humor, it had levity, it had bright, it had color, but it did also have moments that hit a little harder and deeper. And it, you know, I feel like it kind of shows you that there's a lot of space to tell different kinds of stories in this universe too. You know, it's not all going to be this way, that there are characters that are a little rough around the edges. And there was a surprising amount of like cursing too. Can we just point out that there was like a fair amount of, you know, shit and ass and whatever, you know, and I was like, okay, all right. Because listen, this is a world where Peacemaker pops up on the TV and we know what his series is like. And Lanterns is going to be like a hard R True Detective style series too. Like, I feel like in its own way, it also kind of showed like there's going to be a little bit of everything in this world. So be ready.
And it can get really dark really quick too, especially with some of the scenes that we got with Lex. Like, the evil people are evil. Like,
dude, when he just shot that dude in the head with the Russian roulette, like, I wasn't expecting that to happen. I didn't think in a million years he was actually going to kill that guy right in front of Superman. You know, so there was like real palpable darkness, danger there, you know? So I think it set us up to see all kinds of stories in this world now. I'm all about it.
Yeah, I want to pick up that scene with Lex because that was one that my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, my gosh, that actually happened. Superman couldn't save him. And that's a level of stakes that I just haven't gotten from, like, not to make this a Marvel DC thing, but like, I was talking to Brandon before we started recording of like, I feel for these civilians. They feel like they're actually a part of the story, whether it is them taking photos of the kaiju or Molly showing up earlier in this film, helping Superman, and then the consequences of Lex noticing that, right? Like, it makes the thesis of this movie, right, of doing good is punk rock, right? The idea that Superman does this to help these people
Yeah.
because they're actual people. They're not just like background fodder NPCs. Like we kind of get like Avengers Age of Ultron tried, but you don't really care about the people of the Sokovia. Like you don't want the city to fall, but you don't really know anything about them. This movie goes out of its way to like set up we live in a superhuman society. This is a normal thing, but also these people are real and they are in danger at any moment if Superman's not there. And I think that just kind of hammers home why he does what he does in a really interesting way. And just to pick up the cursing thread, I do find it really poignant that while everybody else is cursing, Superman's saying, "What the hey, dude?" and
What the
"Golly
hey,
gee."
dude? Yeah.
And he's calling people chum, and it's just like,
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
He's very much
he's
Steve Rogers of this universe.
And
It's
he's
so
old
great.
fashioned too. Like at some point, he says to Lois, "The way you gave me guff about my article, guff."
Yes.
You know, like it's so perfectly. He's so Clark. He's so. Can
Yeah.
we just take 1 second just to point out that David Corn Sweat is the guy? Like what
Yeah.
casting? He
Yes.
is Superman, right?
Yeah.
Like he was a perfect Superman, an excellent Clark. I just feel like this is some of the most perfect casting that has happened in all this entire age of this golden era of comic book films that we're in. This
Yeah.
is one of those just like you nailed it. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's actually the perfect transition. I wanted to talk about these actors and their performances. Brandon, Superman. Let's talk with Mr. DC himself, right? The Lisan Al Gaib for this universe.
Yeah, man. I mean, David embodied I think the hybrid performance of who Clark Kent is, who Superman is. I love the fact that they also kind of addressed. By the way, I think this is the most intimate, one of the most intimate versions of Lois and Clark we've ever seen. I would say on par with Tyler Hoechlin and Betsy Tulloch. And I love the idea that we get a bit of an insight into Clark's brain and how he views himself and how he understands that other people view him a certain way, but also how he's still figuring that out. And the fact that we get a little bit of it in there is like Superman, third person, and it goes, yeah, I figured, we try it out. like, off the record. No, Clark, that was on the record. That was such a great scene. But I love how much of Clark is never lost in his performance in the suit, because that's what makes Superman Superman. Because the goodness of Clark, the sensitivity of Clark, it's really what flows through him. That even when he's not wearing the suit, you see it. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I really loved about this movie, also because, off the record, we've talked a lot about Henry Cavill, the Superman that we had, and I keep going back to the fact this wowed me of his performance. By the way, is the fact that we never see him without a shirt off, which I appreciate. Because Superman
I don't think many people agree with appreciating that fact, but go on.
Well, because it's never about showing off how strong he is. It's always about showing off who he is.
How good he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they made it a point to show that off. Like the fact that the kids run to him after the kaiju fight, it lets you know that kids know to celebrate when he's around. Like, this is not the first time that kids just run to him. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just the kid that he saved. Other kids just came running to him because Superman, he is of the people.
And they didn't run to Guy Gardner. I just love that little detail.
Yes.
They sure didn't.
But yeah, like all those parts, like all the quiet moments, like you mentioned, Mario, especially that moment where he's going to turn himself in, and he just understands the severity of his decision and goes, I got to tell her. And he tells her that he loves her. And because he's leaving, like, I don't know. There's so many great scenes. The final speech at the end, that he gives to Lex, because even at that point, he has hope for Lex.
Yeah.
He hopes, because he understands that if Lex gets it, he'll be as big as a hero as he can be. You know what I mean? Like, Lex can be such a great contributor to society and to the world, just like he is. Because it's not about the fact that he's super, is that Lex has so much to give. And he's seen that in Lex. And that's why he gives a speech pointing out to him. I don't know. David is just, he was just phenomenal in Superman. Lois, Rachel Brosnahan was great as Lois as well. I love that we actually gave her a side story that matters. And I love how she is interacting with all the heroes, like, for the first time too. Like, we're discovering the DC universe with Lois. Um and and the other thing that I loved as well was with Lois in particular, I think I mentioned this to you, Mike, the fact that Lois is kind of James Gunn's way into the film. Like, because the way James Gunn talks about comic books and the way he talks about himself, like Lois Lane kind of embraces his personality. Like, I'm punk rock, I'm this, rocker kid that looks at Superman is like, he's so just good. And when she talks to Superman, I don't know. I love the relationship. I love the characters. It's good. Superman's good.
It's good indeed. Also, the fact that this entire movie is a metaphor for James Gunn's career, right? It's about a guy who's just trying to do good and then he gets canceled and he has to come back from that and prove that he's still a good person. I just find that to be incredibly funny.
Yo, stop.
Cliff,
Wow.
thoughts on David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan?
That is a real and short already made in on its own.
Making connections that I didn't even think about. You said David and Rachel, right?
Yeah, our dynamic duo for this movie.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that one. The Robin fan of me is just like, no, that title only goes to one person. But yeah, David Cornsweet. Oh man, this feels like the most emotional Clark I've ever seen on screen.
By far, yeah.
By far, and shout out to Tyler Hoechlin and what he does with Superman and Lois. But in turn, like, I've always seen Superman in a cinematic movie sense. So like, just seeing what David does here, this is Superman who, like, he knows what he wants. He's not afraid to be emotional, to vocalize his opinion. And looking back on our previous Superman, who they were kind of around the same age when they debuted or so. But watching the contrast of, like, someone who's so unsure of himself to someone else who's just like, no, I'm just going to do this. This is my job. Like, I don't care. I have a belief in. I was taught how to behave, and I was taught morals and ethics from both my parents, which we'll get into one set of parents, because I feel like in these live action movies, we just can't get Clark's biological and adoptive parents right. Like, one of the two always have a problem and whatnot. But back to my original point, this is just a Superman who's like, no, I'm just going to do this. Like, there's nothing wrong with being good. There's nothing wrong with helping. Like, it's not that difficult of a thing to really think about. And I love that. And Brandon, you had mentioned the final speech between Clark and Lex. Like, notice how I'm not even saying Superman and Lex. I'm just like, it's just Clark and Lex at this point. I call it their final argument and whatnot. But like, it's such a beautiful scene because he's just like, this is me. Sometimes I'm this way. Sometimes I'm going to make mistakes. I fail. But I'm going to keep putting my best foot forward, because at the end of the day, what is the goal here? What is the intention behind my behavior, behind what I'm trying to succeed and what I'm trying to achieve, in this life, with the gifts I've been given. It's so simple. It's so straightforward that I'm just like, we did all this. We figured out Superman in 2 hours. It didn't take 5 films. It didn't take a trilogy of movies. It didn't take 4 Christopher Reeves movies to figure this out. It's like, who's Superman? Watch this movie. That's it. It's beautiful. And Rachel Brosnahan, love you. You're wonderful. Been a fan since The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Like, I've been rocking with her since day one. I do like the glimpses of who she is. This feels like a Lois who's also kind of just like, hey, I'm new at this as well. I'm meeting heroes the same way Clark is, so I don't even know what to do in this situation. Which I'm curious to see where her evolution is going to go, to the point where how she's going to what her arc will look like in future installments and all that stuff and whatnot. I do think I want to see more of their relationship.
Yeah.
I love that interview scene, probably one of the best scenes in the movie. But I'm not convinced they're in love after only dating for 3 months. I'm just like, I just need to see y'all together a little bit more. And I get it. I can imply all of the Superman knowledge that we know from comics and other mediums, and it works. But it's just like, I would like to come back to this relationship, but we never really do. We only get like their quiet moments twice in the movie, which again, that's more so a pacing thing. But that goes back to, I think, all of us wishing that this movie was like 20 minutes longer, maybe even 30 minutes longer if necessary. But yeah,
Release the
dynamic
gun
duo,
cut.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, don't. Oh, you know what you just started. Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
the monkeys are at their computers right now typing away.
Super shit.
that was the craziest part of the movie. 'Cause I was just like, oh, James, you're on the internet way too much, sir. You need to get off the internet, sir.
But I love it. I love that Lex is so petty that he's going to control the narrative even on social
You know what?
media.
Because hate is gonna hate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's just that's the emblem of Lex.
And I think it's very interesting. Like, negativity just thrives in society. Like, it's the easiest thing, and I feel like, especially like current things and events, and just seeing what other movies we've watched, especially within the comic book landscape, it just feels like negativity is just the easiest thing to grasp, hold on to.
Yeah,
in this
Especially if you have a
world.
lot of monkeys.
Yeah, this is
Negativity,
true.
hate, all of that is the easy path. But again, kindness is what's punk rock now, apparently. And again,
Yes.
that's why the message of this movie is so great. And again, shout out to Pride of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Rachel Brosnahan. We love you. You're doing great, sweetie. Mario, I want your thoughts on Superman and this portrayal of the character, because we've talked over the years about this character on screen, and you're saying that we finally got it right. I want you to kind of expand on that a little bit. Like, what did David get right?
Yeah. Well, look, one of the most fundamental things that any Superman portrayal has to give you is a Superman where he's just innately good. There's a kindness and a gentleness and a level of concern that just comes off of him naturally. And that's something that Corin Sweat brought to this portrayal that just comes through. He's just innately kind and good, and he cares for us. You know, I've always said he can't just look the part. He can't just look like he's chiseled out of the side of a mountain, some Greek god who can strike a pose and look impressive. He needs to look like somebody who you'd run to when you needed help. He needs to look like somebody who you would confide in, who you feel like you're a friend. And that's one of the reasons why people love the Christopher Reeve portrayal so much, was that he was a friend above all else. He gave you those vibes of, here's somebody who's here for me. We've never met, but I can tell that you care for my safety and my well-being, because, like they say in the movie, he sees the beauty in everyone. And that's how he portrayed the character, with a sense of like wonder and joy that he brings to everyone he deals with, even the people who are kind of, dicks to him. Even though Guy Gardner can be a certain kind of way, even though he faces all kinds of things, even though Lex Luthor basically tried to kill him and murdered someone right in front of him, when he's given him that speech there at the end, he's still trying to appeal to the goodness that might still be buried in there somewhere, because he sees the potential in this man. So the way, Corin Sweat was able to just bring that innate goodness, to me, was the most important thing. And then you get into the fact that, yes, he looks like Superman right out of the comics. He's got the perfect look. He's got the height. He's got the dark hair, the blue eyes, the square jaw. He's one of those people who was born to play the part that he's currently in. And I'm excited that the movie's doing well, because now we know he's going to get to play this part a whole bunch more times, And we got to see him kind of code switch between the different variations of the character. Now, I wish we got to see more of the Daily Planet Clark, because we really, when you look back on it, it was really just the one scene. And
Yep.
it's a scene that we saw in the trailers. Like almost everything we saw of the fake Clark Kent, we'd already seen. That's how little of it there ended up being. That's why it's one of those things where, like, when I was reflecting back after the first viewing, I'm like, did we really just get one scene of Clark in the glasses? That was all we got the whole freaking movie, you know? But while he was there, you know, he played it differently. There was a nuanced, different approach to what he brought to that. But even there, his goodness comes through. He's just, I don't know, he's got that softness at the center of him that I think is so important, and that wholesomeness, because not everyone can use phrases like guff and some of the other kind of like old time, what the hey, dude, and like it feels natural and okay coming out of him. Other people would say it and it would feel like nobody talks like that. That felt inauthentic. But everything he did felt incredibly authentic. You know, you could tell that he really, you know, put a lot of himself into this, and he really tried to create a portrayal that was 3 dimensions, not just I'm here to look cool and sound cool and that's it, you know? So all in all, the fact that he brought a Superman to the screen that was a Superman that I believe is trying to save everyone all the time, that's his biggest concern. Like, I think about the scene when right after they break out of the pocket universe for the first time, the only time when they break out of it, and they've got Baby Joey and Metamorpho and the dog, and everyone's really worried, and the portal door just collapsed. What is he doing? He's getting up off the floor. He can barely like breathe or do anything yet. And he's like, there's more people in there. I got to get back in there. I got to save them all. And they're all like, bro, you almost just like died in there. You got to recuperate. But you believe the earnestness of like the urgency to him too. They're like, I got to get back in there. I got to get back into the fray you know, everything about what he brought to this character, to this portrayal, it's just pure, true blue, good guy Superman energy, and he just nailed it. So, yeah.
And there's one more thing I forgot, which I think I've watched some reviews and read some reviews. I think there's one aspect that we all keep forgetting, which is kind of underrated in this performance, which I think supports everything that was just mentioned. Clark Kent is also bad at his job, like both of his jobs. Like, he's just now starting out. He's getting beat up as Superman multiple times. You know, like the Superman clone puts him in an arm bar and breaks his shoulder.
3 years without taking an L. Give him some space, okay?
I'm gonna give you that, but also,
and even then, the person that gave him the L was someone not only knows all his moves, has the same power set as him, and is being directed by a mastermind. So
that's
you
really
just lose. You know what I mean? No,
I mean, look, I'm giving my boy a pass.
He had a game chart attached to the Hammer of Varavia.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He had the early 2000s game cheat code book. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but it's just interesting. Yeah, like 1A. We'll get into Lex Luthor in a second.
1A, 1A.
I've never seen somebody hate a man with so much passion. Oh my goodness.
But we gotta talk about Lex. We're gonna do that later. But yes.
But yeah, it's essentially like he's also bad at being a reporter. Like Lois tells him, you know, Clark, if you keep interviewing Superman yourself, someone's eventually going to find out. And it's like
Lombardi is saying adverbs, like he's talking about regular grammar.
Mm-hmm. It's like, Clark, you're. I love how like this is literally just like, I'm clocking in. I'm making multiple mistakes at this new job. I'm gonna clock out. Try again. Rinse, wash, repeat. Like, I just love this. Good job, Clark Kent.
No, but I love everything you guys have said is correct. One of the details I love about this performance with Superman, this goes to James Gunn, this also goes to Corey Sweat's portrayal, right, is that earnestness that you guys were talking about. All life is sacred. He is saving everyone he can. He saves a dog. He saves a squirrel at one point in this movie because he's like, well, if I can get the squirrel, I'm not letting the squirrel get crushed. That'd be insane. I'm not a monster, you know? And it's like, even when this giant random kaiju shows up, he's trying to figure out how to save it. He's like, I can take it to space. I can take it to an interdimensional zoo. I can do whatever we can to, at least if we have to put it down safely. And it's like, even the characters around him, like Mr. Terrific, just rolls his eyes and like blows the creature up, and it's like that's unfortunate. But I love just how much he cares about everyone. Like he saves the people at the Choco's company, and he's just like, "Is everybody okay?" And once they say yes, he gives them a little smile and a thumbs up, and he continues fighting the kaiju because he's like, he's going out of his way to not just save everyone. He wants to make sure every living thing in Metropolis is okay because he values every human being, every creature, and that is
Even a
just
squirrel. Yeah.
right. That is something that we just have never seen. Like even Christopher Reeve, he's getting cats out of trees, and that's great, but like he'll kill Zod in a minute if he has to, you know? And I just
Yep.
this Clark probably would too when faced in the same situations, but he's going above and beyond his everything he has to kind of make sure everybody comes out of this okay. We even talked about him wanting to help Lex after torturing his dog and nearly killing Superman and shooting Molly in the head. He's just like, hey, you might be able to come back from this, and I hope you do one day. And that brings us into Lex Luthor. Who wants
Yes.
to take point on Lex
Before
Luthor?
we go into Lex, I have
yes,
one
sir.
more thing to add to Superman, and it has to do with the way the scenes are structured and how there's a running theme, not just because he is the greatest of all, but also because James Gunn went out of his way to put Superman front and center because he was always front and center. This is a Superman movie. It's not overstuffed. It doesn't have too many characters because the world is so lifted. We were able to get a phenomenal Superman movie, even with a great supporting cast. But I love the fact that everyone that interacted with Superman ended in a different place because they were inspired by him. The cynical and questioning everything Lois believed in his mission by the end of the movie. Metamorpho, who thinks that there's no way out, he was able to go whenever he saw Superman crying over the death of his friend, who to Metamorpho was just another bystander. He goes like, I can't stand for this either. And they both work together to the point that at the end, Metamorpho decides, wait, I can help too. And he helps at the end. Hawkgirl, who doesn't care apart from anything that is an assignment for the Justin Gang, ends up at the end saving the people of Jarhanpur because they believe in what Superman stands for. The idea that these heroes are starting to understand because of Superman, like maybe there's something to the goodness that he's portraying. Maybe there's something to what he's representing and what he's putting out there. I like the fact that the reason why Malik came to pick him up is because he's seen Superman be a hero for the last 3 years. He is choosing to do different. Mr. Terrific, that doesn't deal with emotions, he does understand how important Superman has been to the goodness of the world, so he helps Lois to save him. Like, people are being pushed out of their comfort zones because they understand that they have the capacity to do more and they have the capacity to do good. And it all started with Superman. The fact that we live in a world and we are seeing him in a movie where, you know what I mean? Like, he is the biggest figure that's inspiring everybody to move, to be better. You know, it's just great. I love that we have a hero that inspires us.
Right.
And inspires other heroes.
He gave the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. Who knew?
They will stumble
Yeah, right.
and they will fall, but eventually they
will
in
join
the sun.
you in the sun.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, by the way, can we
And
talk
2
about
hour
how
people.
stylized this movie is? There's so many amazing shots that is just him flying and the camera just zooming to the S. Like little things like that where it's just so mwah.
The camera can't even keep up with him in flight sequences sometimes, and I just love that detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring that back for the Flash. Cool.
Well, Brandon, you'd hate to hear this, but this is the same cinematographer as the Flash, so you technically already had it.
Oh.
Yeah, same cinematographer for Suicide Squad too.
Right?
Well, the good thing is we know for a fact he wasn't the problem.
Yeah. That's fair. That's valid.
Very
So
valid.
we're trying to get back on track. Though we have to talk about Lex. Mario.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Lex, Nicholas Holt, man, I loved everything he brought to Lex too. There was just a level of like coldness but malevolence, like just like it depended on the scene, because there were times where he seemed sort of like calculated when he needed to be, when he was in the room with all the government officials trying to steer them in his direction without playing his full megalomaniacal cards, putting them on the table, because it's clear what he wanted to do, but he knows how to play the game. He knows how to gaslight and manipulate and seem like I'm the one you should trust. I'm on your side. I'm the good guy in this situation. But then we see him totally unhinged when things start to go wrong. Like right down to the little thing where like he knocks off the cup of pens and makes the goons pick up the pens, and then they pick it up, and then he just knocks over another cup like a petulant child.
Yes.
Like there's so many,
Yes.
and then even like in the scene when Superman goes to confront him about the dog, like the moment with the way like he removes the mug really quickly off the table because he knows Superman's about to chuck the table, so he takes his cup of coffee off, and it's just like, act cool, be casual, this is fine. He's probably pretty terrified. And the funny thing is too, later on, I don't know if you guys caught, or like there's a moment where when they're in that Luthor Corp flying office.
Yeah.
Where he's like, all right, guys, we're going to get out of here. And he points to the doorway into the universe in the back. And at first he starts walking casually. Then you see him look off to the side, realize Superman's coming, and he tries to run. And Superman cuts him off and shoves him across the room like a little bitch. But
No, when he grabs the cup and goes, "Do you have a dog with a card?"
yeah. But he could be just such a little jerk. But I just love it again. Like he starts to run for that portal because deep down he doesn't want Superman to hurt him. Like he knows, like I've been playing with fire this whole time, and I hope this isn't the time I pissed him off enough to really do something about it.
Yeah.
So you see those moments of great fear in there also. Like there were lots of different levels to this Lex, and overall, I felt like Nicholas Holt was just really phenomenal casting. He wouldn't have been someone I thought of initially. I tend to think of Lex as someone who's older than Superman. So having him be like almost equal in age and almost equal in stature, and being like in a lot of ways just like almost like a distorted, warped mirror version of Superman in a way.
You mean he like he looks like Superman because he was almost Superman?
Yeah. Like I enjoyed that. So all in all, I thought we got a very good Lex, and I can't wait to see what he does at Belle Reve now, because you notice that's the prison they're going to too, and we know about Belle Reve. That's where a lot of other superpowered beings are, and other notorious villains and criminals. So how is that going to factor into his eventual escape from there, and what kind of connections is he going to make there that are going to make Superman and Batman's life very difficult in future movies? So I see so much potential in him, and so much of that is what Nicholas Holt brought to it. The script is really good, but Nicholas's energy about it, like I want to see where this guy goes next, because he's a little bit crazy too. When he starts to like shake, and you realize like this guy, he's not all right. He's not all there, yeah. So
he becomes very unhinged as it goes on, and
Yep.
I love seeing him crack. Right, like the thing I go back to is him saying, "My envy is a calling. It's the sole hope for humanity because it has driven me to annihilate you." And I'm like, they got it. Because I was talking to Brandon before this movie came out, and like the couple clips we got, I'm like, I don't know if I'm vibing with this version of Lex. I'm like, oh no, they got it. They were just hiding it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This man is a psychopath.
Well, the fact that he has a real estate plot, just like Gene Hackman's Superman,
I love that
as the backdrop to hit as an excuse to fight him.
An
It's
earthquake
amazing.
is happening too, by the way,
It's
during the final act of this movie.
And did he promise Otisburg? I hope not.
I was hoping when we had the map and we see like
Test
Eve had a
marker?
picture of the map, I was hoping we'd see Otisburg just like off to the side, but it wasn't there. No, but
Yeah, man.
Brandon, talk to me. When we were preparing the show notes, you had in here best villain since Thanos. All right, is your audio gone? BA, is that what's happening? Okay. Well,
Well, just in
Cliff,
case, can I just jump in on that real quick? One thing about
me.
Lex too, like, because you did that line, you brought up the line about the envy, and
Yeah.
once again, like the best villains see themselves as the hero of the story. They don't see themselves as the bad guy,
Right.
and in that way, that unique justification is interesting for Lex. Where like he's sort of taking the L. Yeah, I do envy you. I'll admit it. Sure, I envy you, but this envy is what's going to save the world from you if you ever go bad, because I'm going to be the one, since I am so envious of you, I'm going to figure out how to kill you. And in his own mind, he thinks he's doing us all a big service. You know, to him, it all sort of makes sense. And the best villains are like that. They're not just, I'm going to be evil for the sake of being evil. You know what I mean? He saw him, he sees Superman as a threat, and he's doing what he can to try to be prepared to nullify him if and when the time comes that he has to, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Cliff, you have any thoughts on Lex Luthor?
Oh, I have plenty. This
Oh,
this man is the embodiment of jealousy, pettiness, and just flat out obsession. Like, I'm convinced he's actually in love with Superman, and that's why he's actually. Because here's the thing with Lex Luthor, the reason why he's arguably the Joker to Superman's Batman, right, is because complete antithesis and all that stuff. But I truly think there is a part of Lex Luthor that is jealous. That like when he sees Superman, like I get it, like Brandon, I know you agree with that, but I feel like we don't really see this version of Lex Luthor or get to explore this much outside of comics, obviously. But Lex Luthor has money, he has the power, he has the intelligence, he has all the means to actually, as we mentioned earlier in this review, to do something of worthy, of note and whatnot. But as soon as Superman pops up, he's just like, well, I'm inferior. I'm quote unquote a bottom at this point now because this man exists. He can fly, he has lasers, he has super strength, and yada yada yada. So I'm going to spend the rest of my life making you look terrible because I feel good about it. It makes me feel happy. Again, negativity thrives in this movie for this character, and I love that final moment. Even though that moment, I wish they didn't use crypto, which we can talk about that as well if we wanted to. But I wish they didn't use crypto to ruin that moment because I truly just wanted to hear Lex Luthor say, "One day I will kill you," and like I just wanted to hear that because it's going to set such a tone for years to come when that could possibly happen. I'm just like, yeah, he told you this, Clark. You should have been watching out for this dude for years. Like this man hates you. So like, shout out to Nicholas Hoult, probably the best role I've ever seen him in, personally. He really showed his acting chops for me in this movie. So yeah, shout out to Beast, shout out to Lex Luthor.
he was great. I will say the crypto scene, I think that worked for me because he was torturing this dog for half the movie, and Crypto, as soon as he gets there, he's just like, "Oh, this bitch."
I'm with you. I agree. Like it's the puny god moment from Avengers for me. Essentially. It's just one of those emotional beats where I was just like, oh no, like
put him down. Put him down.
I guess me, it's that we know that Clark. I love how we just call Superman Clark now because they're one being. We know that Clark.
You don't say.
We know that Clark is not gonna punch Lex, even though he really should.
Yes.
So Crypto had to do it. Like we all were at that point. Like Lex needs to get punched in the face, and Terrific's doing the thing on the computer, and Superman's just gonna stand there and take whatever insult he hurls at him, and it's just like, okay, I don't care. Crypto had to be the one to like put Lex in his place and rough him up a bit. So like, I get it. Brandon, you were missing in action for a good 7 minutes there.
Yeah, for some reason my my computer decided to just say, "Hey, you're not working today."
Blame the monkeys. Thoughts on Lex?
Yes. Super shit. But yes, I think that Lex is the best antagonist and villain in comic book cinematic lore that we've had since Thanos. I love the fact that Thanos at least had 2 movies and a lot of foreshadowing for us to really dig into Josh Brolin's performance. That was phenomenal, and I don't think we've seen anything in Marvel that rivals it. Period. Um, but Lex, I love how, because this is a comic booky world, just like in the books, he was behind everything. It wasn't Agatha; it was Lex all along. And I love the fact that his hands were on everything, and everything was showing off how smart he is, how calculating he is, how emotionally involved in everything he is. I love the fact that we got the Lex exosuit without having the Lex exosuit, because it was him behind the scenes controlling the Ultraman. I love the fact that the Hammer of Baravia was a nice. I love that they didn't hide the fact, just like in the books. They didn't hide the fact from the beginning. Yes, it's not what you think. Lex is behind this too. You know what I mean? Like, I love how comic book of a villain he was. But also I love how, even though it's not announced from the get-go, as the story moves forward, you kind of start to see how personal the mission of ending Superman is to him. And it all capsulates at the end, because when he starts giving these megalomaniacal rants, you can tell that with the verbiage, he's talking about, because you are ending us. But what he's really saying is, you're ending me. You're taking me out of the spotlight. You're making me obsolete. Because even when he goes to the fortress, he says, I've always been able to handle these metahumans. But this guy, and if you figure, he doesn't have anything against, he's not afraid, he's not envious of other superpowered people, because he is so smart that he can figure out the way around them. He is angry at Superman because the goodness that he represents and portrays to the world is enough to draw the people to him, where Lex has had to engage in deceitful business and probably all the crazy things villains would do to garner attention. Like, Lex has lived all his life garnering attention, hiding how evil he really is, and Clark is getting that all just by being good. And that just doesn't click with him. It won't click with him because he's Superman. That's how Lex sees it. Which is why he had to clone Superman and put his brain in it, which is what he did. And I just find that brilliant. And I love, and I think one of the best moments of his performance is when he loses, when the world turns against him, and he starts crying in anger. Like, that moment, that when and you get that one shot of him just looking at Clark, like Superman, with tears and this loathing, like I'm gonna end you. Like, he doesn't have to say anything. It's there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I can't wait to see more. And I love how when he's shoved into the van, when they say they're taking to Belle Reve, you can tell he's thinking something. You know what I mean? Like, there's something going on there. And I love the fact that it didn't take us 5 movies to get a great villain. He was right there.
Yeah, this performance is so incredible, because I love just the idea that Lex will never be able to fully understand what makes everyone love Superman. I was rereading All Star Superman as we were preparing for this movie, and this is just that same version of the character. Like, when you get to Lex's story beats in that book, right? Like, there's a chapter where he and Clark have to, like, escape a prison together, and it has Superman next to him the entire time, and he just can't see it because he sees that he is better than the oaf Clark Kent in front of him. he can't see the good in other people. He'll never be able to put two and two together. And this is the same thing where he's like, I'm being compared to Galileo and Einstein, and I vomit in the back of my throat, but at least they did something. This guy has done nothing. And it's like, he just saved them from a kaiju you unleashed on the city. What do you mean he's done nothing? But
They chose him. They should die. Like, what?
Yeah, but he
They
doesn't
chose
see,
him. Let them die.
Yep.
he doesn't see
Yep.
that doing good is important. He just dismisses it entirely. I find that so fascinating. I will push back on the best since Thanos though, because we did have Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin come back, which was insanity, and the Void is really good in Thunderbolts that you refuse to watch.
Okay.
I was with you when you said Willem Dafoe. The Void, I don't know. Well, that's another conversation for later when we rank post Endgame villains. Because I was about to make a joke, be like, hey, if you want to make a really good villain, just make them green. You know, give them a green
Little green
combo.
power suit, you know?
and they will do some damage essentially. But
See, but I can't see the Willem Dafoe thing because it was just a throwback to already a great villain that we've known.
But
You
he
know
was
what I mean?
better in that movie than he was the first time. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. But this isn't a Marvel episode. Let's
But
get
you
back
need
to
to be
Superman.
Spider-Man.
if y'all want us to talk about this one Spider-Man villain, put in the comments. Let us know.
Guys, we spent, as the kids would say, over an hour glazing this movie. I want to talk about some of the things that may have not worked. What's the thing about Superman that didn't work for you, Mario?
Well, let's see. I mean, I brought it up earlier. I wish that there was a little more time to get to know certain characters and build to certain beats. Because, like, for example, like, you know, the imagery when Four is dying on the floor in the Fortress of Solitude is very dramatic. When Superman comes there and he's holding his hand and all this, but we've only met Four in one movie, in one scene prior to that. And we didn't get to like build on that relationship at all. How long ago did he build for? What is it that for? You know, like he says all this stuff like I was built to defend Superman and protect Superman. And like, I wish we could have spent some more time getting to see his relationship to the robots in the thing. I wish, you know, when we see the title card in the beginning where it says, you know, he just lost his first fight. Like, to me, that's very dramatic, right? But when he goes back to face the Hammer of Baravia, like, I don't know. It just, what was it about this fight that made this the one that he lost? I don't know. Like, I felt it moved too quickly a lot of times, and it didn't give us enough time to really sink our teeth into certain things. And I felt like there were things that were shown or implied that were never built upon. Like, why is Jimmy Olsen a chick magnet? What is it? Why are the girls in the Daily Planet whispering about how fine he is? And then Eve Tessmacher is obsessed with him. I'm like, that's clearly building up to something where Jimmy got a hold of some alien perfume that makes you cologne that makes him, like, you know, irresistible.
Interplanetary gigolo.
Yeah, like there's something going on. Like, there were several times where I just felt like, man, I would care about all this so much more if I had a little more time with these characters, you know? But the funny thing is, like, I don't, like, to me, there's no big smoking gun thing. I know for some people, it's the Jor-El and Lara saying that, you know, what his true purpose on Earth thing, that's their big, I can't believe they did that. What a crazy choice. No, I actually thought that was interesting. But honestly, I guess that's also part of the rushing thing, though, too, because I felt like this brings a very interesting and compelling twist into the narrative. And I really want to see what this puts Superman through. And I kind of felt like we didn't really sink our teeth into that all that much. You know, I felt like it all happened very quickly where we see the news screens flashing this interview and all these people who were a second ago were going, we love you, are now throwing things at his head. I'm like, this all happened really fast. And
we got Guy Gardner going, you have a secret harem?
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like that could have been a really dramatic, crazy twist, and I felt like I don't know. It resolved itself a little too easily, and Superman basically just turned his back on his birth parents right away and just went to I love Jonathan and Martha full steam ahead, and I don't need to know more about Jor-El and Laura anymore. And I'm like, I don't know if I agree with him just kind of casting them off like that. I wanted to see more about his internal conflict, about how he feels about his birth parents, and him trying to see if there's any way that this thing was doctored or manipulated, or I just like that. That all in all, I wish there was just more time fleshing these things out and getting under the hood a little bit on some of these characters. But overall, there wasn't that one thing where I was like, I hated this. That sucked. That was terrible. Like, no, not really. So honestly, I guess, I don't have a tantalizing soundbite on this one. There isn't anything I hated. I just, yeah.
That is a good thing. Honestly,
Yeah.
we'll take it.
Yeah.
Cliff, I know you mentioned Jor-El earlier in this episode. So did you have any thoughts you wanted to share on that twist?
Yeah, I do. But first, I'm with you, Mario. I don't know why Jimmy Olsen is bagging baddies like this.
Yeah, like what's up?
Especially
Listen,
since
Jimmy
he's so
the
mean.
Riz Olsen,
The Rizzler out here. Whole time he is calling another woman mutant toes, and like we don't even like.
See, you
he's
gotta
mean
have
to
a lot
her.
of them to be able to classify him that way. You know what I mean?
This man is a playboy somehow, and if he is about to get a spin-off series,
Yes.
it hasn't been proven. That's just commentary before anyone. Don't take what I'm saying as accurate.
No. The trades have been talking about it, so it's
Okay.
most likely going to happen.
Okay, well, he about to be
It's not the L word, is the
he
Jimmy.
about to be messy on HBO Max. It's gonna be hilarious.
Oh my
but yeah, in terms of Jor-El, it did kind of bug me a little bit because that was one aspect I was very curious to see. Is like, is he getting this? Is he getting his beliefs from the Kents and his birth parents? Because the first part of that message, for me, when Bradley Cooper, shout out to him playing Jor-El as well. Shout out to Rocket Raccoon. When he says, Kal-El, we love you more than land, I'm like, that's a very specific thing to say about your child, especially in relation to what we know happens to Krypton, and so it kind of made me curious, like, okay, where else are we placing where else are Kryptonian values coming from in this world, and when we learn that supposedly they wanted him to quote unquote, breed the earth, for lack of a better way of saying it. I'm just like, so
Secret
did we
harem,
turn
yeah.
yeah, it's like, did we turn the Kryptonians into Viltrumites? Like, we kind of already seen this
Yes,
here.
we did. Yes, we
Or-
did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and I'm just like, so now what happens after this? Because now I'm curious, what is the perception of the Kryptonians around the universe now? Like, this has me questioning, the larger implications in the future of, like, when we see Supergirl, when people see a Kryptonian on a red planet at a bar, what does this mean? Especially with is this thinking just specifically Jor-El and Kara? I forgot his
Lara.
mother's name. Lara, thank you, Lara. Or is it just like a worldwide Kryptonian mindset? That, like, in order to keep the Kryptonian race going, someone has to do this, right? So I that did bug me a little bit, but it didn't, like, destroy the movie for me. And I think it's a part of the franchise that honestly we'll probably never see again. Like, we'll probably forget, or they will retcon this moment years to come.
Yeah, it's a thing that it in and of itself didn't bother me. Like, it happening didn't bother me. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They're actually going with the Jor-El is evil route, which we've seen a few times. I just like you guys were saying, we didn't develop it enough. Like, the idea that he was sent here with nefarious purposes should have been touched on a lot more, instead of it. It's really just the internal conflict of, oh, my parents aren't who they think they are, who I thought they were. And that's fine for Clark's story, but it also just raises more questions. Because, like, when Kara stumbles in at the end of this movie, I'd be like, hey, cuz, why didn't you tell me my dad was evil? And it's like, because if we're doing what the comics do, Kara knows Jor-El because she was raised on Krypton, so she would know, hey, Clark, your parents were douchebags. And so it's like, so was the footage actually doctored? Why didn't Superman, like, even though Mr. Terrific tells him it's legit, he should have gone through every avenue to confirm it. Um, and it just kind of dangles there, and then we just let it go. And it's like, if you're gonna do that, I think that needs to be a bigger, like, that is the hook of the movie. Is that Superman was sent here to do harm to this world, and he has to overcome that and win the trust of the people. Everybody who turned on him also just likes him again at the end, and it's just like, okay, it's because he put the city back together. Is that really it? So I feel like that beat needed a little bit more time. Outside of that, yeah, that's my only like major glaring like thing that I can point to. Like, I don't like how we handled this. Everything else is okay. But Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I find it amazing that all I'm hearing is I just wanted more. Like it's like we're not really complaining. We're just going like we're not talking about the things we didn't like. We're like, "Yeah, we just want more. But yeah, like I have a problem hating things. So that's just that's what I got. I don't hate.
You see
Well, I
the
don't.
beauty in everything.
Yes, very super. But yeah, I don't really have like I think I yeah, I mean, if did I kind of wanted more Daily Planet stuff. Even the character, there's some characters that were just there's just like wall panels of cardboard, like they were just there for we can say Lombardi and
Did
Cat. They weren't
did
real
Ron Troop
characters.
have a speaking role in this movie, or was he
No,
just
he did
standing
not.
there?
No,
No, you
no, he
didn't.
did not.
He got an
So,
entire poster for no reason.
so because he's part of the fabric, right? I like the fact that I wanted more of that. Um, I wanted more. I love the fact that we're saving Green Lanterns for later on. Um, I'm okay that we got stuck with Guy. I was a little disappointed, even though I do understand that's part of the narrative that Superman doesn't show up to help the kid in Jorhanpur and as all the others, because I kind of was looking forward to that moment. But I do understand story wise why it makes sense because it plays off even better when Superman saves the day. Um,
Superman's not coming, kid. You got the upgrade.
yeah. So I don't really have a lot of complaints. I I do want to caution that turn going back to the idea of Jor-El and Lara being part of a colonialistic approach to Krypton, of them conquering other races or stuff like that. Um, I do wonder if that's going to create problems if there's no follow through. And I think if there is no real follow through in the lore of Superman from that, I will be bothered by it when I see it in this movie when I do my rewatch. Does that make sense? Because if we take into consideration that this is a world where our Kal-El has limited information of what Krypton used to be, that is not necessarily the case for Kara. Because Kara lived all the way to her young adulthood in Krypton. Right? So she knows what Krypton was. So I kind of find it interesting what's going to be if we're just going to ignore that this was a thing. And that's not going to be part of the story that influences her to be a hero like her cousin. Is that maybe one of the reasons why she likes to hide in Red Sun planets? Not just because it's her birthday, but because she doesn't want to remember what Krypton was like.
You
Like
took it right out of my mind. Yeah, I was gonna say
I
it's the
wonder
circle.
I wonder if there's a little bit of that we're going to see, because if we have follow through with that particular plot point in the Kryptonian lore of what we're going to see our Kryptonians deal with, that I'm going to be okay with it. But if I don't see that, it will bother me when I watch the movie again, because it's such a such a big reveal or a big change to the message of Superman's home planet that it will influence how I see everything else. I like the idea of him becoming a hero in spite of that.
Yeah.
But I want to see. I need to see more of that. Because we didn't have the time to spend with it here. We need to see more of it later, because if that's going to bother me that I saw it here, like I kind of now I'm thinking the idea that the idea that this has been presented means that if in the future we have a master race situation like in the Dark Knight 3, it makes sense. You know what I mean? The idea that we have a bunch of Kryptonians that escape the bottle city of Kandor that try to conquer the world is something that can happen because that's the way Kryptonians were. Like, I don't know. I just find that interesting. But I don't know. I'm concerned of what that particular idea can mess up in the future if not followed through or taken into consideration. But no big problems. They want more daily planning stuff.
And to piggyback off with Brandon real quick, about that moment, I agree. It makes me wonder, like, is Kara, is she going to red sun planets because of that? On top of her also having been adrift for 15 years, so she has so much trauma to deal with. It also makes me wonder, because now I guess if we get into like not necessarily conspiracy, but like thoughts of where to take this idea, where they could, it's like, what do the Guardians of Oa know? Because like I'm sure Guy Gardner not paying attention to history lessons from the Guardians, but like I'm sure Hal and maybe John probably learned some stuff. So like again, what do the Kryptonians look like, or what did they do? What did they look like? We know Lobo's popping up as well, and he's the last member of his surviving. He's the last surviving member of his race of people. It's like, what does that feel like, especially in context with Supergirl and all that stuff? White Martians, if that's a thing. Like it's plenty of possibilities, but will they actually follow through with that small detail? We'll have to wait and see.
And we could also find out that there were like warring factions on Krypton, that they weren't all on the same page, that there were people who were like, we're here to be an empire and conquer the world. And then there were more pacifists who were like, we need to focus on our own planet and try to provide for our people. And eventually maybe that's how Krypton got destroyed too, because the two sides of the equation couldn't come to an accord, and one side ended up mining the core so much that the core became unstable and Krypton exploded. But like we could find out that like Cal's parents were hippies, and Kara's parents were hippies, and Cal's parents are the
Zod-like.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's a douchebag.
Zod's actually the pacifist in all of this.
Right, but like that would make for like an interesting sort of thing between
Michael
them.
Shannon
like,
walking.
Your parents were always the aunt and uncle I didn't want to talk to at Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Like
that could be the solution. But like everything that we're saying is why this bothers me a little bit, because like we could have just gotten some answer, a couple more answers in this movie. Yeah. Because I don't think we're going to follow this thread at all going forward. We might get a touch on it in Supergirl because her parents are cast in that movie. So we might see a flashback or see like her side of the story. But yeah, like all of that is very interesting. And that could have been a plot point in this film itself. But all in all, again, this is still like a 4 out of 5 movie for me. Like it doesn't ruin anything. It's just like Brandon was saying.
4.5.
I want more, and me wanting more isn't inherently a bad thing,
And it's a great thing that we're saying that of a Superman movie. Like we're there, guys.
Yeah.
Estamos aquí, coño.
Is there anything you guys want to touch on before we wrap this one up?
Shout out to Mr. Terrific. Like he stepped right out of the 18.
Yeah.
Like
he was a total.
Yeah.
Because I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific.
I'm goddamn
every time he talks, I'm like, are you from the 18s? Like, why are you talking like you stepped out of the 70s? Like,
hey, you got 24
dog, man. What are you doing?
I mean,
those things are
shared
expensive.
a clip from an interview with him, with the actor, with Eddie Gathegi, who's talking about how, like, when he delivered that line, I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific, like, he was supposed to just push the guy out of the way, but he chose to mush his face. And it's like it was a perfect choice for him, and like he asked for he saw it better to ask for forgiveness than permission, so he didn't warn Gunn he was going to do that. And when he did it, and Gunn yelled "cut," he was like nervous. What's he going to say? And James Gunn was just like, do it again and do it harder. You know, like I love that. I love that. Yeah,
That's
Mr.
amazing.
Terrific to me was like low key the MVP, you know, because I went into this like already pretty much knowing I was going to love David Corenswet as Superman, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. And, you know, and even though I had some skepticism about Holt as Lex, like I wasn't too worried. I did not expect to come out of this movie going, I need a Mr. Terrific series or movie right away. You know what I mean? I did not see that coming. So just in terms of just like unsung heroes, we got to hand it to Mr. Terrific. And
We
the
need
way-
to find out if you fixed the damn garage door.
Yeah.
Like, like
Mr. Terrific is such a cool character
Yeah.
that day of release, there was already talks of a spinoff for Mr. Terrific from Variety, like the day this movie came out, because they knew we're gonna get the Terrifics, and it's gonna be great seeing Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific and Phantom Girl and Plastic Man. On
Yeah.
HBO
Metamorpho
Max.
was so great. I love Metamorpho was cool. It was cool. And I love how literal Mr. Terrific is. Like, I found him and a dog and a weird baby and a squiggly man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great. They're not circular. They're spheres. Circles are flat. Like, bro, calm down. It's okay.
He's so tired of having to hang around idiots, Brandon. I relate
Yeah.
to him so much sometimes. It's just like he's over it. Let him do his thing.
What are you trying to
Move
say,
on.
Michael? No, yeah.
You know, if you enjoyed this video, like it's
You
no.
brought the damn dog. I didn't want the dog to kill my parents' cows. Like what do you want?
Yeah. So many great little lines, and I will just say, I feel like because I posted on my X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, that my second viewing was definitely a stronger experience. And meanwhile, I liked it the first time, but I liked it even more the second. And I've gotten hit with a whole wave of a lot of people who felt that way. So I feel like if you're someone watching this and you only saw it once, go see it a second time, because it's only going to increase the love you feel for it.
And I have a feeling that has to do with the baggage that this character's had on screen.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
idea that the first one is like the rinse off all the past, and the second one is the real taking it in. Like when he defeats Ultraman, which, by the way, great meta commentary on how Zack Snyder and James Gunn are different directors with the same character. But
Oh, here we go. He
I'm not
saved
gonna-
his hottest take for last, everybody.
I
He,
just
he waited because the true fans who are here an hour 27 minutes in won't take offense to it.
Yes. Well, if you think about it, Zack Snyder is Lex, right? And he used Superman as a blunt object, and Lex used Ultraman as a blunt object, and then you have James Gunn's Superman that saves the day. You know, it's just like that. But I love how
Not going to touch it. Not going to touch that one.
I love
All you,
how
bro.
great it was that after he beats Ultraman, and you see all the Raptors, whatever they're called, and you have that last set piece of him just going up and just, he punches the guy, and then he starts flying, he just starts spinning around like this, and then the S, and it's great.
Great.
So good. It's great.
It's great. I forgot one thing that I didn't enjoy. Why was the engineer in this movie? I did have to ask you guys. Why was the engineer in this movie?
To be hot? What do you mean? I was Cat Grant in the movie.
It's just the engineer. Like, if we're taking a member of the Authority and sticking them into a Superman movie, I want it to feel like it makes more sense. I feel like you could have just said this was Mercy Graves, and it would have been like, okay, sure. That's all.
That's
I
fair.
don't know. I didn't have a problem with her. I thought she was a fine maniacal female henchman for Lex this time around. But I've seen a little bit of that sentiment that it could have just been Mercy Graves or someone else. But I guess in terms of the world building, since we're trying to set up for the Authority, that's why she was there, really.
Yeah, that's the one moment in this movie that I felt the world building, because it's like she doesn't really need to be in Lex's crew. She could have just been like, Mercy is an actual part of Lex's crew, and this doesn't feel like a character that's going to found the Authority or join the Authority.
But again, this is where we get into like the rushing thing, because she has that one very powerful line about like, I gave up my humanity for this. So it's like, what is it about this crusade against Superman that she feels so strongly about?
Mm-hmm.
She gave up her humanity for this. Like, it's such a heavy line. It would have been nice to have another scene or two where we get to understand her motivations and why she's done this and worked with, is now working hand in hand with Lex to do this. What is it about Superman that she sees as such an issue that she had to give up her humanity? So again, there's a longer cut of this movie somewhere. I'm telling you, there's got to be.
The deleted scenes on this Blu-ray are going to be crazy. I already know.
I bought the Steelbook. So, I want to ask just one question. We don't have to jump in a crazy discussion.
Here we go.
We can just say one word, the name, and leave it alone. Cliff, who do you want for the next movie for Superman? As in the villain.
Parasite.
Okay. What you got,
Or
Mary?
Metallo. Sorry.
Okay, you got two.
Listen, I want the villain that Richard Donner wanted to get to, that Bryan Singer wanted to get to, that even Zack Snyder wanted to get to before the studio heard him mention Batman. I want to finally, and even Tim Burton wanted to get to when he was working on Superman Lives. It's time for Brainiac on the big screen. I need Brainiac. That's what I want next.
Mike, who do you want?
I want General Zod to be turned into Doomsday, Brandon. That's what I want to happen in the Superman sequel. No, I mean, all great choices. I want us to do something completely different with this character going forward in the next one, because we've seen him in Metropolis and be the hero of Metropolis. But I want him to be a hero for all. I want Mongol. I want him to go to Warworld. That would be fun.
Ooh, intergalactic.
How
we
about
already have
you,
Supergirl
Brandon?
adventure, so like Supergirl, Superman team up on Warworld. That'd be fun.
You want him to leave Earth right away. Like, we just got it.
Okay, bye.
We'll come back. That's the great thing about Superman. He'll come back. Play the Linkin Park song. We'll be waiting.
Brandon, who's yours?
Y'all have said so many great ones.
Mixel pick.
We established interdimensional imps, so I know
we did.
Mixie's around here somewhere. We got to commit to it. Put him in the Jimmy Olsen.
And James Gunn's he would do it in a heartbeat.
Like,
he loves all that.
Yeah. See, you guys picked all the good ones. See, I like the Brainiac. I really like the Parasite. But I don't know. I think do we put him against the New Gods, or if we don't do Mongol, you do like the New Gods or something like that.
I'm with Cliff.
Cliff is like, nope.
That's
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't do it.
That's too early. Like,
yeah, I know. So I'm not. Yeah,
people.
I know. We've already been there. So, damn it,
Batman.
No, because you keep going to Dawn of Justice. Damn it! I can't believe I don't have anything.
You asked the question.
I know, but
Who's
y'all
homegirl?
just Cliff got two, man.
Livewire, Toyman. We got so many other options here, dude. Come on.
I know. So you know what? What was it?
Great. This is great, Brandon.
This is going
phenomenal.
Great.
I'm gonna go with fuck.
You have ran out of time, bro. You've exhausted all of the show.
Come back to me.
We all went first. We can't even come back to you. That's the problem.
Atomic Skull. Let's get a Superman. Superman versus the Elite.
Right.
Let's get Manchester Black in here again.
I'm not gonna say Manchester Black. That's too easy. And it's not interesting anymore, kind of, because
Lex
it's really
Luthor finds the Legion of Doom or something. I don't know anything. Just get an answer on the board, dude.
Okay, damn it. I'm actually I'm actually okay. No, because he's already disenfranchised already in this movie. So I'm gonna go with Parasite.
All that just to go right back to Cliff's. Excellent.
I know. I suck. But see, you guys got great answers.
And I just want to point out one thing. Like, I went to at the press screening, I ran into an old friend, and it's just funny to me. Like, to me, this is like the damage that the first couple of Superman cinematic franchises had, where it's ingrained in people's heads that the General Zod thing is an integral part of Superman's origin. So this friend turned to me afterward. He's like, so I guess in the next one is when Zod shows up from the Phantom Zone? And I had to explain to him, I'm like, General Zod was invented in 1961, okay? There were 23 years of Superman stories before he even was a glimmer in anyone's imagination. We have to get out of this idea that General Zod is this seminal, important, main villain in the Superman mythos. I hope we don't see any Zod in this, just to really hammer the point home that he's not essential to the Superman story at all, even though two different Hollywood franchises based on this character beat to death this idea that it's all about Zod and Jor-El.
And then brought him back.
Zone. Yeah. I'm done. No more Zod ever. So that's why, just to answer Brandon's question in a different way, anyone but Zod.
It's interesting.
And it's funny because I was just thinking about like different options, like, oh, we can do Bizarro, but no, we already did Ultraman.
We just did a clone. Yeah,
we've already did a clone.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Zod thing because Cliff, you may have been there in our Discord. We were talking, and our friend Trayvon, I was like, I don't want to see Zod. He's like, I thought Zod was like as important as Lex Luthor, and I'm like, no, he's not. I don't. We never need to see him. That's how low he is on the poll for Superman characters, that we can make this entire universe from start to finish and never get to General Zod. And nobody would really even mind it.
Let's do that.
Please, James Gunn, I know you're watching. You're always on social media. You see this. Don't put Zod in anything. Thank you. Guys, this was a fun one. I love talking Superman. I'm glad we got the good ending, because this would have been a really downer episode if this came out and we all hated it.
So Mike and I had an agreement with Mike. If I liked the movie, I was going to wear this shirt. If I didn't like it, I was going to wear my Kingdom Come Superman shirt.
I thought you were going to be topless just to ruin all our lives. Okay.
I'll send you the picture after.
Oh gosh, she just sends you a full collage like Eve Tessmacher, who, by the way, MVP of this movie.
Yes,
shout out to Eve.
Yes.
Although,
who knew selfies were so powerful?
Although as kind of a foot guy, I wanted to see those mutant toes. But anyway, okay.
Mario, I'm glad you made the joke because I wanted to make it earlier where it's like we didn't even get to see the toes, but that sounded too disgusting to say. I was like,
I'll jump on that grenade.
I'm just the guest. Years. I'm the guest. I could say the weird thing and disappear. You got to be here every time. So I jumped on that grenade for you. Show me the toes. Anyway, okay.
When you say that they look like shrimp cocktail spilled on the floor, it's like, now you gotta show us, because that is so crazy of an image to put in my head.
Yeah.
Now we have to actually see it. You have to follow through, guys. Come on.
Yes.
Man, he was so mean. And then he gonna smile when he hugged her at the end. Like,
Can we talk about the post-credit scene?
No.
How I love that it was not a nothing thing. It was a nothing. Like Superman is going, isn't it a little?
Although I thought, but here's me overthinking things, which I kind of do for a living. But I was like, what if in a roundabout way that is a tease of something where we're trying to point out, yes, we closed that rift, but things are a little bit off. Like something else may have come out, or there's going to be other things we find out that we thought we saved the day, but things actually are a little bit off. And we're going to find out in the sequel what other things maybe came through the black hole, or, you know what I mean? Like a part of me was just working feverishly to make that scene mean something.
Well, you know who else has a pocket universe? Peacemaker.
Ah, yes.
And the Justice Gang
Yeah.
are in Peacemaker, so like
Yes.
we might see a direct lead in into that. Which, by the way, Peacemaker being in this movie is crazy to me because that
Yeah.
means every lie he says in the show is now made it to the news at some point, and so now people have really bad preconceived notions of some of these Justice League characters.
Yeah, yeah. And now that means that David Corenswet is the Superman that he claims has the poop fetish. So we got to deal with that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or
On
maybe
that
it was
note-
just another Lex tweet that, or maybe John Cena has been reading, Peacemaker has been reading all the tweets that Lex has been typing throughout
he
the
believes
entirety
them
of the
all,
3
yeah.
years. Yes.
That's even weirder. So that means that Lex is going around saying that Superman is a poop fetish.
I mean, he's calling him super shit. I don't know.
It's
Like,
monkeys. Yeah, super shit. Get it? Anyway,
Oh, Superman
okay.
and it. He has no respect for this man, so I can believe
yes.
Lex Luthor is doing this.
Lois, you know that one in particular gets me all riled up.
Irritates me. He was on the verge of tears. I felt so bad for that man. Guys, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, share with a friend who loves Superman, or a friend who thinks this movie was super shit, and we can probably change their mind. I don't know. But this was a great one. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Mario, where can the fine folks find you, and what do you have up coming up?
Superman on film everywhere. There's the YouTube channel, there's the X account, there's the Instagram account. I'm all over the place with varying levels of actually updating things. But for now, follow those so that when I do update things, you'll be the first to know.
Awesome. Cliff.
Yeah, I mean, you can find me here or on Letterboxd at Cliff Boom. Yeah, follow me on Letterboxd especially because I just pre-ordered the 4K disc, and I cannot wait to watch this and the Batman because I can finally see David Corenswet and Robert Pattinson be together before it's officially announced. I'm manifesting it. It's going to happen at this point. So like that's gonna be a fun 5 hours, and I can't wait to document that experience.
Sick. BA, what you got going on? Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Monkey D. Bradford on Blue Sky. And you can find me here on the Shatter After, talking movies, shows, and on the Amateur Otaku podcast, where we talk anime, manga. Kaiju number 8 is coming to an end this month. So we will be talking about that very soon on the Amateur Otaku pod. And hopefully we'll be talking some comic books here on the Shatter After. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It feels like our manga ending sooner. Is that what's happening here? How does Kaiju number 8 already reaching its end? That's
well.
shocking.
Keep in mind the one thing that for some that manga has figured out a long time ago that most comic books haven't is that it's okay to end things and do new things. So mangas end when they need to, and Kaiju is ending, and it's pretty good.
And
I don't like
speaking
the
of ending
shade.
things, bye everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Find me at Novice Cinephile pretty much everywhere, and we will be back next week talking comics, Superman, all the fun stuff. Later.